I started panicking, and I kind of thought, well, could be that this computer just spit a brain cell out the side of itself or something. Let's go take a look. Hey, thanks for checking out Freedom One Garage. You've seen, if you go back and see some of our videos on the YouTube, you've seen this truck before. It's a nice rig. Now it's got 170,000 miles on it. It's a 2000 we're dealing with. No, 2001 Silverado, well, GMC HD 2500 HD. So it's got the 6-liter LS, Allison transmission, and it's just a nice truck. Now it's starting to, it lives outside, so it's starting to show on the hoods and stuff. But overall, not very rusty. It's just a nice truck. However, now this gentleman's a bona fide horse trader, and so he travels. He pulls a horse trailer with this all the time. And he's also the town barber. That's cool. But I digress. See, he's got some old tractors that he manages his little horse business with. There's a couple old Olivers and an old Ford, and we were over there doing some service work because it's that time of year, getting them ready for the winters and stuff. And he says, oh, by the way, when I talks to him, he says, I used my truck to move some horses around, and oh my golly, all kinds of bells and whistles and lights started going off. He says it ran fine, but the list was the airbag light came on, the battery light was flashing, the fuel gauge was below E, and the low fuel light was on, and he wasn't out of gas. And what else was it? There was something else. Oh, changer oil light was on. We just changed the oil about 1,000 miles ago, and it wasn't happy. So I said, well, while we're working on your tractors, we'll plug into it and see what's going on. So we took my little handy dandy code reader over there and hit the key, and sure enough, all them lights were going on and off and blinking and whatever else. It wouldn't even connect. And it tried, and then it tried again, and it wouldn't even connect. And so I started panicking, and I kind of thought, well, could be that this computer just spit a brain cell out the side of itself or something. This guy lives on an acreage, a farm basically outside of town, and he's got horses. He's got some cats and other critters, but I know he's had mouse problems off and on. So in these things, to make a short story longer, under the hoods here, and we've already got the batteries disconnected, so you can kind of know where we're going here. So this goes on here, and I don't really know why they hide all these wires and make a nice warm house out of this, but that goes down there and it snaps down there, and then this is on here. And again, if it was weather tight, and you wanted to put a lid on to kind of preserve on some of these fuses and relays, that'd be great. But it ain't weather tight. It's close to it, but it ain't. And it covers up all these wires, and it gives these little, ironically, mouse-shaped openings on 3 sides of the thing. So anywho, we popped the first lid off. Don't see anything obvious, and then we took that thing off, and here's where we started seeing issues. Right down in here's that wire's supposed to have insulation on it, and it's been chewed off, and the wire next to it is just about chewed through. I think there's 1 strand on it. All right, well, that could be part of our problem, but if that's part of the problem, look at all these other wires that go down into the under regions of this relay and fuse center. Well, we decided we better take a gander at that, and here's where the really bad news lies. Don't eat, oh, son of a biscuit. It can't just fall down a little ways. And here's where we find the real issues. We've got a chewed wire here. Down here we're chewed, we're nibbled there. We're down to copper down, way down in here. Over here we're not too bad. And this center loom, I don't think we're too bad. And then we get down, way down here into these regions, and here's where we start seeing our bedding material. They just wanted to come in here and create havoc. This whole batch of wires here is just chewed to heck. One of them's chewed off. This connection down here, this connector, they're all chunked up and chewed up. Down in here we've got some chewing, and all through here we've got some chewing. And then of course we've got this original stuff we saw. Now looks like once we get out of here, here's one here, here's one here. Oh golly. Anyway, once we get out of this, and we'll dissect this a little more, but I think we're okay. But there's probably 20 damaged wires, 20 to 30. And then they'll get up in here and they'll just start packing this full. This is not like this from the factory with this stuff in here. And they'll go in here and start playing and packing stuff up in the corners, and like they're trying to build a house or whatever. So really a fairly fatal flaw for the Chevys and GMCs of the late 90s and through the 2000s. It's the perfect example of city folks trying to design pickups for country folks, and they just don't get it. We are going to start dissecting this. Now the good news is, once we took the pressure off of this and we reached down in here, we kind of separated some of the bare wires from one another and made sure that things had some space between them. All the lights in the dash went off. It still runs fine. Fuel gauge started working. This is definitely where our problem is. And we're going to just start dissecting wires, repairing wires, and you know, we'll get it. If we get any notables, I'll show you as we're going along. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Click and liking. Hit the subscribe button. It costs you nothing. And yeah, we'll get into it. Okay, now to get these apart, it's not too bad. All of the wiring unplugs from the bottom of the fuses and relays and such, and then it just sits then on these two little hinges here. You pull back these little ears and the whole thing can pop off, and then you can lay this out of the way, and we're left with, it goes white, then black, white, black, red, green. Then we also have 1, 2, 3 big wire connections, and those are all different, so you can't really mix them up. They got different safety alignment tabs in them. And then we can get in here and we can really kind of look around. And before we go too much farther, we pop this guy out of the side here. But now we're going to get the vacuums and get rid of the mouse stuff. I should probably say 7mm screws hold these in. And then because, I mean, there's all these pins, these fuses holding it on there, you just kind of got to be really careful, walk it back and forth, top to bottom, side to side until it comes out. Same with all these other ones. But once we're here, now we can go in and we can start to really dissect our damage. We're going to pop, there's little retainers holding this clip down and this clip. We do have damage here. I don't see it on this side, and I don't see anything on this side of this loom, so that would be nice, because then we can get all these wires up out of here and in a handy spot to start repairing. Let's see if we can't. Where's my tool at for that? Where's my body trim tool? There it goes. Okay, yeah, now once we get those done, I had to talk to Jalen for a second. He's in the middle of a purchase or a sale of a car. So for this one, and these are all, we don't have to be, I mean, we got to be careful to know what we unplug, but they can't go back into one another, so that's good. This has got damage on both sides. We've also got this guy that goes out here, and we'll probably take it off. This has a little safety nubbin in it. All right, that's unhooked. Now, that guy's different. That guy came undone. And that guy came undone. Now this isn't going to be too bad. Some of these might be a little difficult. We've got some we might have to unpin and just re-insulate with some heat shrink. And then we've got these where we're going to have to either unpin and rebuild or splice new wire in. But I mean, just look at this. All three of these wires, 3 out of 4 of those wires. Luckily on the more, you know, constrained side of the circuit, there's no damage on that one. This is the one that goes across. See the wires that went, oh no, you got it here. So, well, no, it went through here. Now this little connector went over here, and everything that's outside of the box, no Misi chew. No chew marks at all. As soon as it goes into the box, everything that's into the box, because this was routed like this, all this, chew marks on it. So yeah, thanks a lot, GM. You just made a nice semi weatherproof and very handy. I mean, you still got the mouse-sized holes here. It's like a mouse dominium in here, and it's not needed. You didn't have to have the made for mice house underneath it. Am I ranting enough? I'm probably ranting enough. We're gonna get the rest of this sucked out, and then we'll just start patching together wires. All right, next day alert, and it's middle of the afternoon or so. Well, I think we got everything patched up. I repaired 29 different circuits in here, and I guess maybe that's a low number. Is it a high number? I don't know. Tippy tap into keyboards and let me know how bad you thought it was. Now, we went about repairing these in a couple different ways. The ones that were chewed pretty much all the way through, here's an example. We did use a heat shrink butt connector, so that's all sealed up and reconnected. Those types of, there's a bunch somewhere. There's one tied up in here. I taped a lot of this stuff back together, guys, but so we did use a few, maybe 3 or 4. The preferred method though was, and we unpinned all of these except this guy right here. I couldn't get it out for nothing. Everything else came out just fine. So this one got 2 layers of liquid electrical tape, and then we're going to come in with the Scotch. And if you know, you know. If you don't know, I don't have the front part. Let me find, I got another roll over here. Stop buying that, 80,000 rolls of electrical tape at Walmart or the greatest place on earth or whatever for $1.99. The stuff don't work. It's more expensive, this stuff is, but right here, Scotch Super 88, you'll go through way less tape, and this stuff sticks. It sticks, it stays stuck, it stretches nicely, it covers great. I will never, I cheaped out on electrical tape big time over the years, guys and gals. I don't do it anymore. Scotch Super 88 is it for me, and they make it in the colors if you need it. Some of this is already taped up, so we did use some heat shrink butt connectors. Our preferred method, however, was to de-pin. And then I also like this, there's a couple different brands. This is a Gardner Bender brand, this liquid tape. It goes on, it dries rubbery and flexible. And then on the ones that we were able to de-pin, all of them but this one, we'd run over them with the liquid electrical tape and then heat shrink over the top of that, the bare spots. Now these weren't, all these wires that were treated that way were just chewed down to the copper, no strands missing. If the copper was damaged at all, we cut them and used the splice to fix it. I think we're ready to go back together. We're going to plug all this stuff back into here, and then there's connectors down in the bottom of this box, and then we'll start it, run it, make sure everything's okay, and then we'll go about trying to somewhat mouse proof this area down here. All right, we plugged everything back in. It's kind of zippy tied. We got to clip this guy, and it's kind of, you know, put back where it came from. Like, I'm pretty proud of myself for actually putting things away. We connected just this battery. This guy has 2 batteries. It's the heavy duty package, but we can start and run off of this one, so we'll leave that one over there disconnected for now. But let's reach in here and see what we got going on. Everything lights up, bells and dingers. There we go. Battery light goes off. We're gonna have to reset that change engine oil light, I think. I think whatever got crossed up that caused it to come on. It shouldn't need an oil change. We're gonna check our mileages here real quick, but no, we've got fuel gauge, no other warning lights, seatbelt lights on, but that's just because we just started the truck. I think we're pretty happy. Yeah, so this is why, you know, things a lot of times, even on newer cars, now this is only a 2001, but the way it was acting, I immediately started thinking, oh, this computer's got some voodoo in it. But we boiled it down to, you know, back to basics, back to physical problems. In this case, a bunch of wires got chewed up and spat out. I almost forgot. The repellent, we got to keep the Mises out of here now, or try to. So I had some ideas, and then slowly, as I was working on this, I started talking myself out of ideas. How do you keep mice out of a place that is perfect for a mouse house? Thank you, GM engineers, once again. Well, first idea I had was we can line these little openings. So like if you have a camper, motorhome, something like that, and you have a little crack or crevice and Mises are getting in, you want to seal it up, but before you seal it up, you stuff that crack or hole or crevice full of steel wool. Mises don't like to chew on steel wool, allegedly, and then you can silicone or sealant over that, whatever. So I thought, well, we could put a bunch of steel wool crammed into here, crammed over here, into the little mouse-sized openings. But then the other side of me said, well, what if that steel wool gets moved around under there? Because, mind you, all these little cavities in here are circuits. Steel wool is a balled up wire, and it could short out this whole thing and cause, you know, a fire. So I talked myself out of that, and then I thought, well, what if we took like a rag or a sponge and soaked it in either diesel fuel or like gear oil, you know, and wrung it out so it was just kind of damp, and then we could lay that down in the bottom here. And, you know, the odor and the unpleasantness might keep the Mises out. And then I thought to myself, well, I've seen, we've cleaned some Mises stuff out, and it's pretty apparent. It might work, but they live in some of the god-awfulest conditions, and they build houses in their own filth and whatever else. And so I talked myself out of that, and then I remembered, you know what? There's things that people sell. And while most of them are probably snake oil, we're going to give something a try. I called up the local cooperative and, you know, because they deal with the Mises and the farmers and the tractors. They got to have stuff. When your tractor's parked for months at a time, you got to have something in there because tractors are expensive to fix too, y'all. So we picked up this Mouse Magic. It repels mice. It lasts for, let's see, months it says. And let's see, cottages, storage sheds, garages, basements, boats, campers, RVs, cars, farm equipment, and more. And there's a little picture of a Mises right there. I don't know why he's like holding on to the scent pack almost, but either way, it's a bunch of peppermint and spearmint oil in a, here's the innards, in this little pouch full of what looks like maybe some sawdust, and I'm sure, okay, corn cobs. It must just be to soak it up, I hope. Either way, we're going to put 2 of these down in here, close everything up. And although this might be flammable, it's not going to be as flammable as a rag or sponge or whatever that the Mises could chew up and get in there and start a fire with. Remember, that stuff was up in the wiring, the insulation was. And maybe it'll repel them. I don't know. That's just where we landed. So I'm going to put this in here, and then we see this truck enough. We're probably going to let it go for several months, and maybe a couple oil changes down the road. We'll look in here and see if it's been tampered with or anything. And just like that, this video has turned into an instantaneous product review. Anywho, we're going to button this up. We might check a couple things. This guy's going horse buying next week. And so we're going to check fluids on it, make sure if it needs service, it gets serviced, and send it on down the road. Saved this customer a ton of money by having me do it. Then, you know, I almost shipped him to a dealership. So thanks for watching this one. Click like, subscribe if you haven't. Appreciate each and every one of you. We'll see you on the next video.